We're talking to Mr. Harleston, Ms. Anderson, and Ms. Spearman about the issue of Streetworks and HIV and AIDS. And of course, Ms. Spearman, I think that we promised that we'd give you an opportunity as the office manager for Streetworks to sort of summarize some of the things that that you've seen and that you believe that our audience ought to know this morning. And then, of course, Ms. Anderson and Mr. Harleston will sort of buy into that, and we'll do for the next 8 or 10 minutes basically around that kind of information.
Okay. Well, again, at Streetworks, we provide HIV prevention, education, and care services. We're open 24 hours. We have 2 drop-in centers. One is over in East Nashville in the James Casey Home Housing Projects, and we're also located over at the Tony Sudicum Housing Projects over in South Nashville. That's one of the advantages that Streetworks has, because we're located in areas where the communities are hit the most with this epidemic. These are high-risk communities. These are communities that are involved greatly in substance abuse type activities, and also communities that really need the attention and education needed to prevent this epidemic from spreading. So it's a lot of work involved. I believe last year in 2005, we've come into contact between 3,500 to 4,000 people last year in trying to educate and provide prevention, education, and materials about the situation, and also what we provide on care services to our clients who do have HIV and AIDS. We also have a new program. We have a mobile outreach vehicle where we're able to go out into these communities of color or high-risk communities to bring our office over to them to help address the needs that they may have. For instance, we had an example. We had someone called the office the other day who was homeless, and they were in need of getting HIV tests, and they had no way of getting to our agency. That was a perfect opportunity to use our mobile outreach program to go out there and provide HIV testing.
And so, Streetworks itself is really involved in doing a lot of things, and it's a very, very important organization in reference to that. Now, Ms. Anderson, when you think in terms of the clients, what are some of the things that you have seen that exist in dealing with these clients that you think our audience ought to be familiar with, aware of?
Some of the clients, like Mr. Harleston said, the stigmatism, you know, some of them, it's hard for them to just, you know, to just be able to say that they're HIV positive, you know. But my goal at Streetworks is to make them feel comfortable, let them know that it's okay, you know. Everybody's not educated, but the ones that are educated will treat you just like anybody else. And I think that's all we're looking for, is just to be treated normal, fairly, and with respect. So I try to make sure that they have everything they need, and if we may have a service that we don't provide, we have plenty of information that we can also reach out and get them that extra help that they need. Sometimes they just need, you know, someone to talk to, you know, where they feel comfortable, you know, and share what's going on.
It's still a human disease, in spite of how catastrophic it might appear, that it still affects individual human beings, and out of that comes those feelings of wanting somebody to at least notice them or understand some of their problems. Would you say that you've identified that as one of the real issues dealing with this, Harleston? Now, looking at Washington, D.C., coming from Washington, D.C. to Nashville, Tennessee, what did you find in terms of what the government was doing, the local government perhaps, for individuals affected with this disease in Washington, that perhaps Nashville could pattern after, or perhaps we might be doing something that they need to do? How does that sound?
It's not very much different. It's all about the organization and how hard they are working and advocating for people infected or affected by HIV/AIDS. Like Ms. Anderson was talking about, you know, a lot of people should just be aware that, you know, people that are infected are human beings just like us. They are our friends, they are our family, they are our brothers, our sisters, our aunts, uncles, and daughters. They are our neighbors, and they feel the same way we do. They feel the same way about having this disease as if I would feel as if I had diabetes. And it has to be treated the same way diabetes has to be treated. But the thing about our community is, like, we really need to go out. Like, we do this outreach because a lot of people are not going to come into the office, so we bring the office to them. That's one of the things about the mobile outreach van. There's an office on there where we conduct post-test, pre-test counseling, where we do HIV testing. They can get free condoms at any one of our offices on that truck. When we not only come in the truck, we come in the car, we come walking on foot through the projects, up and down Murfreesboro Road where the sex industry girls are working, and we talk to them and we address them. And in fact, when you was talking about, well, you know, it's a collective thing where organizations, we really have to come together, and part of what we do is we work with several other organizations to effectuate this. You know, we work with First Response, we work with the Elam Center, we work with TAP, Project COPE, and the sister program to try and effectuate these things, especially as it relates to crack-addicted black women, because their infection rate is going through the roof.
What do you find, Ms. Anderson, in reference to that crack-addicted African-American females? Do you find any impact do you see any impact among your clients in reference to that? The impact that crack is having, or that alcohol or whatever is having on your clients?
Yes, some of the clients, they're kind of reluctant to say that they have another disease, because addiction is a disease also. And some of them, you have to just, like I said, make them feel at home. And if you've been there, it's a lot easier for them to open up, you know, opposed to not being, because a lot of them feel like you can't relate, because if you haven't walked in those shoes, then you can't relate. So that's what I mean by making them feel comfortable. And if it's an area that I can relate to, I will let them know, you know, because it's all about, you know, trying to do better and trying to stop this epidemic. You know, it's not a cure, but we're here to try to slow it down, you know, try to get people to be more aware of their sexual behavior.
Well, and speaking of sexual behavior, and I think Dr. Poco a long time ago told us on this show that one of the real problems was that this is a behavioral disease. Now, what impact has sexual industry workers, what impact do they have on it?
Okay, you have a sex industry worker, let's say a crack-addicted young lady. Now, her main focus is to get another high, and that is going to require her, because she has a marketable commodity, and that is going to require her to be getting in and out of different strange men's cars. And in terms of whether they need the money, they'll practice this without the use of a condom. That's one reason why we target them. We come down there, we give them free condoms, as many as they need. In fact, we have what is called a sexual responsibility kit and a harm reduction kit. Those are two different type of kits, and we give those harm reduction kits to those individuals who smoke crack and do drugs, because a lot of times when you do drugs, it creates openings for HIV. So what we want to do is cut back the probability of them having an opening that HIV can get into it. We're not condoning what they do. That we're definitely not doing that. But what we want to do is just give them some safe practices where they could, you know, possibly prevent becoming HIV infected. And in fact, they appreciate it.
That's what I was about to say. What's the response?
They appreciate it. They appreciate it. I give them, you know, we give them vitamin C, ointment, alcohol pads, and stuff like that, so that they could, you know, keep the possibility of becoming infected or even infecting someone else. You know, and then we try to get them into the office where we can sit down and have some one-on-one counseling. As Aretha said, you know, a lot, you know, me, myself, I come from the same background. I have some of the same experiences that they have. So I sit down and I relate to them, because they take better to, okay, I'm not talking to someone who is telling me something from a book. I'm talking to someone who has actually walked through this fire and has come out on the other side. Then that rapport and that relax, they relax right away, because there's no judgment there. I have no room to judge them.
Very good. And of course, we're near the end of this show for today. Let me thank the three of you for coming by and giving us that excellent information. As I often say in reference to all of these shows, is that it really takes a lot of courage to become involved, and especially, Ms. Anderson, to say that you have been infected by the disease and et cetera, to come out here and give encouragement to other folks who might be so infected. Of course, let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.